All right, we're back with another one shot, one take video here. I figured this one's a little more important. I have some other ideas for videos, but I think this one's kind of important just for general gameplay. So what we're gonna do is we're kind of go over the anatomy of a character build. So basically, I'm gonna take you guys through my thought process when I'm building out a team. We're gonna look at both solo when you're doing co-op, when you're only building one character, but we're also gonna look at party stuff when you're doing 3 members, and just kind of give you an idea of what I look for when I'm trying to build a character. This might be another bit of a longer video. Again, we'll try and do some timestamps for specific stuff and kind of go from there. But this will kind of give you an idea of what you want to do and how you should try and aim to build. This isn't going to be telling you what the best weapons are, what the best in slot stuff is. I don't know if I necessarily believe that's a thing, because there's so many different builds for different situations. You could have a really good build that's super involved in lightning, and that's the best build because it does so much damage, but then you run into a lightning resistance monster and it falls apart. So this is just going to kind of be a general look at how I look at the situation, what I'm going up against in the fight, whether it's a boss, whether it's a bunch of single mobs, whatever. I look to see what I'm going to be facing in that and kind of build around there. Now, this isn't going to be super important early on where you really have to look at the weaknesses and stuff like that. But as you start to get into harder content, and our second example of a party one is going to be some harder content that's like 17,000 power above me. We'll kind of have a look at what you need to focus on to try and clear content like that. But yeah, so we are going to start with some co-op stuff. Okay, so we're going to go into co-op here, mainly because this is probably one of the most important things is doing the co-op stuff, because you get so many materials out of it, the metals, all that kind of stuff. We're not going to go into too many details about all that stuff. That's not really what this is supposed to be about. But again, this is, I think, one of the most important modes that you're going to want to focus a lot of your stamina on. So we're going to start with this and kind of just go over what I do when I build a character out for co-op. So I just did Airbuster, so I have a build for Airbuster. That's easy. It's Cloud. It's a lightning weak element, a lightning weak mob. We don't want to have the easy road here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Red Dragon, because that makes me have to consider different materia as well. So we're gonna go right into this one. So it doesn't really matter where we go because we're not actually going to do the fight. We're just looking at the build. So one of the first things I want to do is I want to look at the stats and the immunities and all that stuff of the boss. Some of this doesn't really matter in this. Like this boss has a fog breath that applies fog. I don't really know what fog does, but there is a specific heal materia that is going to be able to clear fog. Not really important here. What is a bit important though is that defense down. So if I have a character that I want to focus defense down with, so for example, Cloud, I have his Hard Edge, which does armor break, which does P-Def down. I think that's the same thing. Like there's physical defense, there's magic defense. I assume defense down is one or the other or both. I don't think there's a separate defense thing. There's some inconsistencies, but either way, Hard Edge probably isn't going to be great for that. So what we could do instead is we can take our Apocalypse, which is just going to give us a higher power level and give us better stats, and just equip that instead, and our Hard Edge can sit in our subs. We'll go over all that stuff in a minute, but for now, that's where we're going to start. So this one shouldn't be too bad in terms of weaknesses and stuff with the boss, but keep in mind that you can click that little magnifying glass down here and then click on the actual boss or whatever mobs are going to be in there, and you can see it's resistant to fire. So you probably don't want to bring anything fire in. The weakness is ice, so you want to bring ice stuff in. You can see the sigils you're going to need to try and break its interrupt bar. All that stuff in there. So you can also see it down there in the bottom here where I'm tapping. That little ice one there is blinking and highlighted. That means I have something ice equipped on Cloud right now, so I've covered that element. The circle, however, that sigil is not lit up, meaning I don't have that covered at the moment. So we're going to want to cover that. So we'll go into our build here. We'll kind of just work through in order here. We don't have a ton of gear in the game just yet, so it's going to be pretty easy to pick what you're going to use. If you have Cloud's Murasame Battle Garb, you're probably going to want to use that regardless, just because it gives you that physical attack boost. And then obviously the Levin Blade also gives you lightning ability damage. So just using your lightning ability with your weapon, if you're going to, is going to get a boost. But it's a little bit better than physical defense and the critical potential there. So I will personally be going with that. We don't have too many options again with gear, so it's going to be pretty easy to pick those. Main weapon, obviously Murasame is one of the best weapons. It's got a lot of really good stats on it, and it's just the best in slot for us that I have. So again, kind of work on your own thing. Obviously, if you go into a fight where the boss is weak to lightning, it's going to be great. If you go in where it's resistant to lightning, using the ability from it, probably not going to be that great, but you can still, let's say, I don't know, it's weak to fire, but resistant to lightning. You can throw on like a fire blow materia, and you're just going to be using that anyway. So you don't really have to worry about taking off the Murasame, because you still want to get the full stats from it. So moving along down to the ability weapon, again, the game is going to take all of the stats from both your main and your ability weapon. All those stats are going to go into your own stats. So that you want to take your kind of highest stat weapon in that ability slot. It's also, I believe, going to take the full R abilities from it, or is it 50%? It's 50%. So you can see here, this is a little more in depth. We'll go into that in a sec. But I believe it only takes 50% of your ability weapon R ability stat. Yeah, so this is base 16. It's showing as 8, so we're only getting 50% of that, but we're getting the full stats. And then obviously sub weapons get 50% as well. So going into sub weapons, for me personally, I kind of just went through, saw what I had. You can see I have a blue in here, I have a purple in here. They're not 5-star. The reason I have these though is for their R abilities. So black rifle gives me the boost to physical attack, which I'm focusing on with Cloud. And then actually the secondary is not bad either. The boost crit potential, also kind of nice. We don't have that unlocked yet, but both of those will be useful for us. And then we've got the broadsword axis here, which also gives boost physical attack, 12 points. We're only getting half of that, so we're getting 6 from that, but it's a pretty big boost there. And then once we unlock this is going to be nice as well, boost lightning potential. So that's going to help again with our Murasame and the lightning damage we do with that. But we'll get into that a little bit more later. So those are just kind of the things I'm looking for in my sub weapons. And we'll talk about our abilities a little bit now, because not everybody knows how these work. I did another video, kind of just some tips and tricks, and we went over this a little bit. But basically, if you've ever played Monster Hunter, you're going to be somewhat familiar with this this type of system. So basically, I am focusing on physical attack right now, boost physical attack. Just because it's Cloud, he's got a good physical attack. That's what I'm working on with him. So each piece of gear is going to have R abilities. They'll always have 2. Some of them you have to unlock first. I forget the specific levels. I believe level 60 is when you get the second R ability on a weapon. So that'll come along. But each one is going to contribute a specific amount to that R ability. So the Murasame here, boost physical attack is plus 16. So that's going to give us plus 16. You can see on the right here, there's a different amount of required points, all the way up to 55 points. So the Murasame is giving us 16, which boosts us up to level 3. So we're just beyond the 15 at 16, but we're not at 25 enough to get the level 4. So with just Murasame on, we would get to level 3. And then we'd need 9 more points to get the next tier. So that is why you want to equip other items that have similar. This does not, so we'll move on from that. But our hard edge here also has boost attack, which is the same as the Apocalypse. Again, not really going to help our boost physical attack, but that's where we start to come into these weapons. So despite them being 3-star and 4-star, they still offer me some points. So we got boost physical attack here, which is going to add another 5 points, but that's cut in half, and I believe it's rounded down. So that should only be giving me 2, which you can go into this menu and see. So the black rifle is giving me 2, and then the broadsword axis is giving me 6 total, which then adds up to a grand total of 29. And then you can see just beside that, so you can see the 29 right there, and then right beside that to the right is the how many points you need to the next. So I need 6 more points from some source to get to level 5 of the physical attack boost. Now you can upgrade weapons, which we'll go into a little bit later, but you can upgrade these weapons, and I believe at level 30, I don't know if it's when you break level 30 or when you actually just straight up hit level 30, but it will upgrade the amount of points you get. So that black rifle right there, it's at 5 points right now. If I were to level it up, it could go to 10 points or whatever, but you have to get it to 30. I believe it is right when you get to, is it right when you get to 30? Yeah, I think it might be right when you get to 30. You get that upgrade. So I think this was originally at 6 and it bumped up to 12 points, which was a pretty huge jump. It might have even been more than that. I forget exactly, but you want to make sure you're upgrading those sub weapons. So that is pretty handy for trying to meet the requirements for these RA abilities. And then you can kind of look down at some of the other ones here. So we got boost lightning potential down here, the third one. We're at level 3 currently. We have a total of 15 points. We would need 10 to get to the next one. We're getting 15 from our Murasame and no points from any other places. So Murasame gives us a really big lightning potential boost already by itself. Another one we can look at, let's see ones that have multiple things. Okay, so boost attack. So boost attack is both physical and magic attack boosts. We're currently at level 2 and we have 13 points. We need 2 more points to get to the next level. So our Apocalypse gives us 8 and our Hard Edge gives us 5. So again, those are added together to give you that 13, which again just puts us 2 points shy of reaching level 3. So you can kind of see how it works. You want to try and work with the 5 weapon slots you have for your character to try and fill the specific R abilities that you're going for and that are going to be beneficial to you. Boost attack I just have in there because it does give me some attack. We don't really care too much about magic attack, care more about the physical attack from it, but Hard Edge and Apocalypse I think are both solid weapons, so we're using them anyway. Might as well push a little bit towards some boost attack. But again, I am focusing mainly on physical attack right now. I may get more weapons in the future that could replace Black Rifle or Broadsword Axis to give me more points. But for now, those are going to do just fine for us. But yeah, that's kind of how the R abilities work. I know it can be a little confusing at first. I honestly didn't really understand it right out of the gate. I don't think the game explained it very well. But once I realized it was like Monster Hunter, it became a lot more obvious. But yeah, that's basically how I decide on my main weapon, my ability weapon, and then my sub weapons. Most of the time, that's not going to be relevant to the fight. You don't really have to look at like the monsters' abilities or anything like that to pick those. That's just kind of a general build for your character. So after that, we're going to look at materia, right? So right now, oh, actually, another good point is, speaking of materia, we're going to get into the sub materia. That is based on your main weapon. So all weapons have 3 support materia slots. So you can see here on the Murasame, the first one is a physical attack boost. So whatever physical ability you put in that slot is going to get a 20% bonus. We're going to go into a little bit more about that as well. But keep in mind, that's physical ability, not magic, physical. So if you put a fire materia in there, you're not going to get that boost. The second slot is another physical attack boost of 20%. So again, another physical spell like a fire blow, you put in that slot, it's going to get a 20% boost, which is great. And then the final one is a sigil boost, in this case the triangle. Sigil is defeated by matching sigil materia during attack shift count +2. So the stagger bar, when you're trying to break it, if you're hitting it with the triangle, it's going to now do +2 towards breaking that. Usually it's like a 10 or a 20 or some sort of number that you have to try and wear down. If it's a triangle, this will help you do that even faster. So that unlocks, I believe, at level 70, your third support materia slot. So that's a little ways off, but eventually that probably is going to be where you want to put your ruin materia. Ideally a triangle if you're facing a triangle type boss. But yeah, so that's support materia. That kind of plays in here. So again, we're looking at the boss here. We're going to need ice, and we're going to need the circle sigil. So let's see, what do we have in here? We have, this is our Runra blow, which is X sigil. So that's not going to do. So we're going to go to filter. We're going to hit circle. That's what we're looking for. Now we can kind of go through these and see what sorts of stats we want. There's a physical attack +2. My materia isn't great. We won't go too much into synthesizing materia right now, but eventually that will be a little more important. But for now, we're just going to kind of go through. This one's pretty good. This one's got 4 substats on it. +2 physical is great. The magic attacks, whatever. The health is nice. The heal is nice. Keep that in mind. Probably going to be what we go with. But we can just go through these, see if there's any we want. No, the rest are not that great. So we're going to go back to that 4 stat one. We're going to equip that. So now if we go back to this screen, you're going to see that circle is highlighted and flashing. That means we have that element covered, or that sigil covered. Obviously we already have the ice covered, but we have this 3-star blizzard blow. Again, this is a physical ability. The blows are physical abilities, and the normal blizzard would be a magic ability. So this is going to be really good for Cloud, who's physical based. So you're definitely going to want that. Now, a way that you can tell is if you click toggle down here a couple times, it's going to come up to this, and it's going to show the support materia ability, right? So physical attack boost 20%. You can see that the physical attack boost right there, it's lit up white. If I was to find a normal ice materia, a magic one, you can see how it's grayed out now right here. You can see that it's grayed out. That's because we're not going to get that bonus. So again, we go back to the physical blow one, and that's going to light up. Go back to the magic one, that's going to gray out, so we don't get the benefits. So with a character like that, we definitely want to use the blow type materias. Now again, we're going into a co-op one where we're only bringing one character. Most of the time, it's a Cloud. It's 3 Clouds. And that's it. Sometimes you get lucky and somebody comes in with an Aerith or something to do some healing. Most of the time, it's just a bunch of Clouds. So I always bring a cure in with me. Some of these harder bosses will hit hard and they'll hit your entire party. So it's nice to have a heal. So I always bring one in. I have all the other elements I need covered, so I can bring in a materia to heal and we'll be fine there. So that's pretty much it. That is our character built and set for that boss. We have all the elements covered. We don't have to rely on anybody else covering it. We can take care of it if we need to. We're mainly going to use that ice attack when we get in there, and we'll be set. So yeah, that is basically how we are going to build characters for this. Again, one thing I want to show you is, again, this boss, again, is immune to defense down. So if I was to bring Barret, and this is more of a party thing, I don't really solo bring in Barret ever. But actually, we'll just go to here so I don't mess up my build there. I really like this limit break for Barret. Mind Blow. So it doesn't do as much damage as his grenade. His grenade does 1000% physical magic, non-elemental. Mind Blow only does 768%, but it reduces magic defense and physical defense when it hits. So I usually use that and use Cloud's right after. So I hit him with the magic and defense down to help Cloud do more damage. There are certain bosses, though, that are immune to those defense downs. So it makes no sense then to bring in the Mind Blow, and I would switch to Grenade Bomb. So just something to keep in mind there. That Red Dragon, for example, had an immunity to defense down. So you probably don't want to bring Mind Blow in against the boss like that. Just a little extra bit there that I kind of wanted to go over. Yeah, that's basically it there. Okay. Now, we're going to go into one that I can't actually complete right now because it's a little bit too tough for me. But it really gave me a feel for actually having to plan out a build. I was pretty close on beating it, but the AI kind of... As you get into harder content, the AI starts to get a little lackluster. The AI feels pretty good. It feels pretty smart to start, but once you start getting into more complex and difficult content, leaves a little bit to be desired. So I was struggling with the AI in this. I'd have to switch to manual. I'd have to slow it down. I'd have to make sure to jump to Aerith to make sure she healed properly. I had to shift all my materia around to make sure she was only healing and not using any attacks and stuff. It was a whole thing. And I got close, but just not close enough, unfortunately. This thing, the boss in this was one-shotting me towards the end. But anyway, this is a very good example of how to build a team for harder content like this. So we're going to start by looking at this, and we're going to see what's in here. So we got a bunch of these grass strikes, these elementals. Mainly, it's the grass trikes. They are the nasty part of this encounter. So whether it's the boss or the little ones, all of them poison. This is the first time I've ever had to consider that. So keep that in mind. Poison, right? Poison is nasty. This guy also does fatigue, which is also nasty. So poison and fatigue, we want to keep those both in mind. The rest doesn't really matter too much. He's not resistant to any of the defense downs, so bringing in Barret with his Mind Blow is totally fine. That is something we're going to do. And then all we have to worry about for elements are Ice and the X Sigil, I believe. These guys are weak to fire, so you could probably bring in some fire too. Might probably be a good idea with Cloud to bring both, maybe a fire. Well, yeah. You can probably bring in a fire and an ice with him, or just make sure it's on other characters, because I do like to have the poison, which I think might already be on here. Is this fatigue? He's already got fatigue on him, so I like to have that extra heal on him, so we'll figure something out. But let us start with... Let's start with Cloud. Let's just start with Cloud. So I think this is mostly good. None of them had defense down resistance, so we'll keep Hard Edge on there in case we don't have Barret to use his Mind Blow. We can still drop their armor to be able to do a little bit more damage. But yeah, the main things we have to focus on, especially with Cloud, because he's the one I'm going to control pretty much the whole time, we have to focus on that X. So we want to make sure we have an X Sigil materia. This is a circle, so we don't want that. So we're going to go ahead and filter for X. And we got a nice 3-star one here. So we're going to equip that. We now have that covered. The other weaknesses are going to be ice, and that is kind of across the board. Yeah, most of the mobs in this are going to be ice. So Cloud being our main damage dealer, we're going to make sure he's got ice. Now, again, with Murasame, this is going to give physical abilities a plus 20% damage bonus. So we're looking for ice now. And we've got this nice blizzard blow. So again, physical. We don't want to put in a normal blizzard because again, you're going to see that's grayed out. We're not going to get that benefit. We're going to take this blizzard blow. It's going to light up. We're going to get a 20% bonus on that. Fantastic. Again, we saw that fatigue was something that we were going to have to worry about in this fight. So I'm going to take this healing Asuna that cures fatigue as well. Doesn't really do much healing. It's 40%. Cloud's healing isn't that great, but it's going to clear that fatigue, which we do like. So that should be good there. And that's basically Cloud built. Same sub weapons as we had before, and same primary weapons. Pretty much, like I said, those are kind of general things. Yeah. And then in terms of our limit break here, we're just going to keep cross slash. We do have the Ifrit summon, which is great against fire, does a lot of damage, but the boss isn't weak to fire. I believe it was just the elementals that were weak to fire, and maybe one of the other minion ones. Yeah. So the boss isn't going to get affected by Ifrit very much, so we'll just keep cross slash. It should do more damage. It's what, 1400%. Whereas this is 1015%. So we'll keep the cross slash on Cloud and we should be good. Okay, so Cloud is set. Now, especially in harder content, the healer is very, very important. I don't think I could be where I am right now in clearing higher content without a healer like Aerith. So you're going to see I have her Fairy Tail on, which is her luckily 5-star, which gives us an AoE party-wide heal at 53 potential, or 53% potential. So we have that as her main weapon. In her ability slot, we have the Full Metal Staff, which has Heavenly Strike. It's not great for damage, but it hits all enemies, and if they're not resistant to it, it reduces all their physical attack. So the potency on it is low, but it's still a reduction in physical attack, so it debuffs the entire enemy side, which is nice. So we have that in that slot. I pretty much always run her Healing Wind. Seal Evil hits all enemies. I don't really have issues clearing trash waves. Most of the time I'm using my limit breaks on bosses. I don't really like AoE multi-hit limit breaks, just not really for me. So we got Healing Wind on there. Again, harder content, you need those heals. So you're going to see we have a lot of healing. So we have that AoE heal from her staff. We've got the AoE heal from her limit break. I also have another Cura down here as a single target. So let's say you're up against a boss that doesn't do a lot of group-wide attacks, but does some pretty heavy single target attacks. You're going to see that our Curas here is an 87% healing potential, or potency. I think it's potency, which is a lot higher than the 53% from our Fairy Tail. So again, Fairy Tail is great for healing the entire group, but if you need single target, having something like just a Cura with a higher potency on it is going to heal that single target a lot more than if she was to use her Fairy Tail. And I'm hoping the AI is smart enough to kind of figure that out and use that. But yeah, you can kind of see that I have heals for all different situations. So again, we need Ice and X. A problem with this one was I didn't like having attack materia on her, because she'd use the 3 ATB bars from this ruin and not use it and not save it up for a heal, and then we'd just get slammed. But we won't worry about that too much. We'll just try and build this out proper as if the AI is not going to be an issue. So we need an X here. Now her support materials is ability damage plus 10% and magic ability damage, plus 20%. So in that slot, we're going to want a normal materia, normal magic materia. So we'll search ice. So again, you can see if we were to put a blizzard blow in here, that magic attack boost gets grayed out and it's not going to get that benefit. But if we go back to this blizzard materia, it's going to light up and we're going to get that 20% bonus from that support slot. So that's got magic attack up, which we might as well use since we're using a magic attack. Both of them do, so either is fine. We'll leave that one on there. And then what do we need? An X? I believe it was X, yes. So we'll get an X ruin materia on there as well. Filter that. Doesn't really matter too much, but you can kind of hit that toggle and go through. So the reason I do this, I should point out, the reason I started doing the filters is because if you don't have a filter on, you're going to see all your materia at once. And you can't really tell whether something is an X sigil or a triangle sigil. They all look the exact same. Like, I cannot tell the difference between these two just by visually looking at them over on the right side. I can obviously see here, I can see the X and I can see the triangle there, but I want to see the stats as well. And then if I toggle, now I have to try and figure out which is which because I can't see both at the same time, which kind of sucks. So now I've started using the filter. We did an X. Now we're only going to see our X ones. We can toggle the filter to the stats and just kind of go through like that. So there's a healing one, which is nice for our healer. This one's got some HP and physical attack, more heal. Yeah, let's just do a heal one. Sure. There. So, substats here again, we'll go over this just a little bit, but it's basically the same as before. Look at your R abilities, see what you're working towards, and try and put points towards that. So right now, I'm working on boosting her heal because she's my healer. Again, with all the different options of healing on her. We're currently at level 4 at 34 points, so we're actually only 1 point away from hitting the next tier of level 5. We're getting 10 from our fairy tale, 10 from our guard. Is it guard stick? I think it's guard stick. Yeah, guard stick. We've got another 5 from hardcore crew. Yeah, our hardcore squad. And then we've got another, what is it? Another 1 from tranquilizer gun, which if we upgrade that to 30, we're going to get that extra little boost. It'll probably upgrade the amount of points we get there and should push us that 1 extra little point to get us the full next level here of level 5. Now, something I'll gloss over a little bit. Obviously, you're trying to pick the best stats, right? So technically right now, this boost heal in this slot is a waste of a slot because it's not pushing me further into that next tier. If I was to take this off, it's not going to change anything. We'd lose 50% of the stats we're gaining from it or whatever. But that boost heal, that R ability, is basically nothing. What we could do, I'm not going to because I'm lazy and I don't want to change it later, but what we could do is find a different R ability that we're close to. I mean, let's say boost ice resistance. Let's say we care about that. We're currently 1 point away from boost ice resistance. So what we could do instead of tranquilizer gun is look for an item that has boost, was it resistance? I think it was resistance. Boost ice resistance here. I don't know if I have any, but I do. I have the Inferno Grave. So this was a weapon we got from the Ifrit fight. So we can put that on, and now we actually have, we don't have it yet. Oh, I didn't equip it yet. There we go. Now we have that first tier of ice resistance. So again, I'm going to leave tranquilizer gun on there just because I am going to level it up soon, and I will have that extra little bonus that we need for it to reach the next tier of healing. But again, if you find you can't reach a certain stat point, you're better off just putting on maybe something that boosts your HP, like the HP, where is it? I forget what it's called exactly, but actually we could just do it this way. what is it called? Yeah, boost HP. So you could just put on a piece of gear that'll get you 1, 5, 15 points, whatever, and just get that extra boost of HP if you can't reach the next checkpoint or break point for your current R ability. So just something to keep in mind if you're really trying to min-max. So I think we're done with Aerith now. She's built out. We have most of what we need there. Now, another important one here is, actually, you know what? I'm gonna do something. It's not changing too much. I just like this on him instead. Actually, you know what? You know, yeah, maybe we should. I'm gonna switch this one to poison, just so I can keep on top of it myself, just in case the AI. And then we're gonna put the fatigue on Barrett instead. So, yeah, we're fine. Let's swap this out for. Again, we're not going to run this right now. This is more of just for example. Where's the poison one? Or no, the fatigue one. There we go. So he's going to take care of that. So now we have all those things covered. We have the fatigue covered. We have the poison covered. We have X and ice covered. So now Barrett can kind of just fill those gaps. So with his 2 support material slots that we have unlocked right now, the first one is an ability damage boost, and it's an attack, so it could be either a magic or a physical one. And then the other one is the same thing. Could be attack, could be physical. So it doesn't really matter what we put there. He is slightly more magical attack based, and his main weapon is as well. So if we really wanted to, we could just put in a nice magical blizzard ability there. That's going to get the 10% damage boost. Again, if we toggle through here, you're going to see it's lit up. We're getting that 10% boost. Down here, we needed, what was it? Circle? No, X. I think it was X. So we're going to do a little filter for that. X, we're going to look through. Doesn't really matter what we take, but let's see. I thought that one had, there we go. That one looks good enough. HP, physical defense, physical attack. Not that he's a physical attacker, but we'll take that one. Again, that is a physical one going into this slot, but because it's the generic or either or magic or physical, it's still going to get that boost. So we're set there. So we have one magical one, we have one physical one. Ideally, he is a little more magical based. You'd want to focus on that, but we don't really care that much. So there. That is our team set up. Oh, I'll kind of go over Barrett's gear here. It's kind of Barrett's on the chopping block for me. If we get like young Sephiroth or something, probably going to replace Barrett. I haven't been too impressed with him so far, but he's in there for now. He's who I've got leveled the most out of everybody else, so we'll bring him in. So I'm just boosting his magic attack right now. So I got Tiger Fangs on there. I'm probably not going to worry too much about leveling these up. More boost magic there, more boost magic. Now you'll see that there's no conflicting things, right? He's focusing more on boosting magic, whereas Cloud is focused on boosting physical attack. Aerith is focused on boosting her heal. And the reason for that is because I don't want to have to fight for weapons between my characters, right? So if I had Barrett as a physical attacker as well, I'd be fighting Cloud for the physical attacking weapons, and right now most of us don't have a ton of weapons. Maybe in the future we'll have a lot more weapons and options to choose from, but for now we don't. I don't, at least. I haven't done a ton of pulls, so I'm just trying to split my my grouping up there so we're not conflicting and everybody's got their own weapons. We don't have to worry about, oh well, Barrett needs this broadsword axis, so we got to move it over, that kind of stuff. But yeah, that is basically the team set. That's how I kind of go about it. Again, we look back here, we've got everything covered. We've got the ice covered. We don't really have fire. I could probably go back and put fire on somebody, but honestly, unless it was on Cloud, which I could technically just go and remove the poison and throw on like a fire blow, which I should have. I could technically do that. throw on one. I'm not going to look at stats, but I could throw on a fire blow there. That way he can cover both ice, fire, as well as the X sigil, and then just replace something with Barrett here. Maybe his ruin. Actually, the ruins are a little more important. Let's just replace his blizzard with that other poison heal right there. And so now he'll take care of both fatigue and poison. Fatigue was only from the boss, poison was from everything else, so it won't conflict too much. He can take care of that. She can take care of this just pure healing, and Cloud will take care of dealing the damage and stuff. So I have everything kind of balanced and set up. Fight's a little bit hard still, but this gives me the best chance. If I didn't optimize like this, it'd be a lot harder, especially that poison. That poison does a lot of damage. So yeah, that is basically how I build a party for this. Again, it's not super important early on, but it's something you want to get into the habit of when you're starting to get into harder content, because you will need to start working on making sure your optimal builds are set for these harder fights. But yeah, again, that's kind of how I set up my 3-man party, and it seems to work pretty well for us. So that's basically it in terms of what I look for when I'm building my characters. From there, we can kind of go in and touch on a few things that are going to help you power up a little bit more. So things like your character skill tree or character stream, these you're definitely going to want to focus on because they're going to be a little bit easier to level up than, let's say, your weapons. So you need for these, I guess we can't see them here because I don't have these ones open. Let's try and find one that's open. Here we go. So these, you're going to need these character shards, which we'll go over where to get those in a minute. And you're going to need these pieces. So there's power pieces, there's magic pieces, and there's healing pieces, I believe, are the 3. Yeah, there we go. Healing, magic, and power. The thing with these is I don't believe there's any tier higher than the green 2 stars. Whereas with weapons, you're starting to get into the higher tier stuff and higher power stuff, and a little bit harder to farm for the higher stages of like the 70 plus weapons, the level 70 plus weapon materials. So these you definitely want to farm. You're going to get a lot of these from all over the game, really. Battle Tower. I think you might get some from the story as well, but you're going to get these character shards and these pieces from all over the game. But you can also come over to solo content here, go down to enhancement, go down to training. Yeah. So you won't be able to get character memory pieces here, but you'll be able to get all these other pieces. What you want to do is at least try and get all your first clears done. So if you look here, the initial clears, you're going to get 30 crystals, which is great, but you're going to get 30 of each of the pieces, which goes a long way. And then obviously you're going to get more for the different rankings you get within that fight. Once you clear all of the normal piece missions, you open up the power, the magic, and the healing ones. So these are a little bit more target farmed. They're also a lot higher power, so you got to be ready for that. But again, you want to try and do those first clears. That's going to get you, again, 50 of the power ones and then 30 of the other 2. So again, it's going to be heavier weighted with these ones. So you're still going to get the other ones, but you're going to get more of the ones for that specific group. So this is magic. So this will be a little bit weighted towards magic ones. You're going to get 20 extra magic ones plus the 30 of the other 2, and then whatever you get from the ranking rewards. So again, try and make sure you get at least that first clear. Those pieces are going to go a long way. You can see I've got, of what I can, I could probably start doing these 5,300 or 53,000 ones now, and I probably will once I have some stamina. But for now, we've cleared what we can, and that's where you're going to basically farm these. Again, you can go to the battle tower as well. And as you can see, as you go through these, you're going to get a lot of these pieces. I've already claimed them, so you can't really see them. You're going to get a lot of these pieces. At some points, you're going to get some character shards as well. Here we go. I think it was at a boss fight. Yeah, so you're gonna see you get some character pieces down there as well. So definitely try and progress through your battle tower. Very important. And again, you're gonna get a lot of stat points out of the skill tree. You can see here I'm at 855 plus 855 HP, for example. And if we go back to Cloud over here, you're going to see that he's at 2009. So not quite double, or not quite half comes from that skill, the skill tree, but a fair amount do. Almost half comes from that skill tree. So make sure you are putting points into that. And again, it's a little bit easier to farm than weapons, for example. So again, make sure you do those pieces quests. Just get your different pieces so you can level these up. Now there are different breakpoints or checkpoints within this as well. I forget exactly what they are. I know there's one at, I believe, 35 somewhere in the second board, and then the third board here we need to have Cloud at level 40 before we can push beyond that. So you want to be trying to do your XP farming as well. If you're not running co-op content for other stuff, which is probably one of the best places to be spending your stamina, you can come in here, go to enhancement, go to training, and you can run these XP quests. Again, even if you just do the first clears, always nice. But I haven't progressed too many of them yet. I've been leveling up mostly fine, but if I was doing these, I could be pushing that a little bit further. So these are going to be a good source of XP for you. I don't know specifically how much it gives you. It doesn't really say. Oh, there it goes. Is that true? 5,620? That seems like a lot. That seems like a lot. 9,000. Okay. I assume that's how much you're getting. The recommended power and then the character XP. I assume the character XP is how much you're getting from those fights. So that's a pretty good chunk. 9,000 is a pretty good chunk. So yeah, you can get some decent XP out of those to try and meet those checkpoints. But if you've already hit those checkpoints, I would go back to farming pieces and doing that. Another thing to keep in mind are your premium quests. So this is more for weapons, these ones here. We'll come back to that at another point, but it does open up character memory shards. So these, again, we saw we needed some of these pieces. Try and get at least the first clear. It doesn't give you a ton. It only gives you 5 for your initial clear, but it's better than nothing. And you can farm these for your character pieces if you're not getting enough from the battle tower. So that's the other place to get these character shards. I don't think there's anywhere else to get them. So the unfortunate thing here is you can only farm these. You get 3. If you look right up there, I have 2 left currently because I did 1. But you only get 3 of these premium quests a day. So if you're not spending them on your weapon upgrade stuff, you should be spending them on your character memory shards. So make sure you're at least doing 3 premium quests, whether it is those character shards, whether it is the weapon upgrade materials. Make sure you're doing those. They are a little expensive, 20 stamina each, but you want to make sure you're doing your 3 every day, just because it's a little bit harder to get those materials from other places. I think that's kind of it in terms of the character progression stuff. The next thing is obviously going to be your weapons. Weapons, as I said, are going to start to get a little more difficult to upgrade. You can see here I have my Murasame at level 60. I need to uncap it, which requires these nanocube model 2s. And again, if we go back to the premium quests, you're going to see that I can get some by doing the nanocube 2, which is 68,000 power, which is a little bit higher than me. I think I'm at like 51, 53,000. So quite a bit higher than where I'm at already. So I can't quite do those yet. However, if you really need to, again, why I think co-op stuff is so important is that in the metal exchange shop, every week, you can actually buy them. You can buy 15 of them, which I'm going to go ahead and do that. Oh, can't get 3. I can get 2. So that's going to help me push towards that as well. So I needed 30. I can get 15 per week. But this kind of helps me until I can actually farm the mission to get these themselves. This will help you progress a little bit. So again, this is why I think co-op is very important, is to try and get these. So trying to get as many medals as you can to buy these weapon upgrade parts is huge. I'm not going to worry too much about the synthesis stuff now for material. I'll come to that later. But yeah, the co-op medal shop is very, very important, I think. So make sure you're focusing on that as well. So again, just to kind of go over it briefly, I'm making sure I have 5 weapons for each of my 3 main characters that I am trying to level up to make sure they get the stats from them, to get the R abilities from them. So kind of try and go through your stuff, pick out 5 for each character, and work on trying to level those up. You don't have to max one out right away. You can go bring them all up to 30, bring them all up to 40, whatever you want to do, whatever works for you, whatever's going to help you push those break points for your R abilities. That is what I suggest. But yeah, so I'm still working on a lot of stuff here. I'm picking one character at a time. So I'm working on Cloud's weapons right now. I'm going to try and get him out, mainly because he's the character I use everywhere, whether it's in 3-man party stuff for solo content, whether it's solo stuff in co-op where I can only bring in one character. Cloud is my focus. So I'm going to try and work on getting all his abilities leveled up and looking good. So again, you can see I'm starting to work these up. I'm working on the broadsword axis right now, trying to get that lightning potential thing unlocked as well. Try and get some more stats on it. So again, I believe at level 30 is when you get your first boost to your first R ability. So again, on this, it's the boost physical attack. So again, I think it went from like 6 to 12, something like that. It was a nice boost. And it really helped push me towards getting the next tier of the boost physical attack. So I need to kind of do it with my black rifle as well, except I can't level up to the next tier with a 3-star. Unfortunately, I can't break level 50 until I get it 4-star, and I don't think I have the materials for that. So anyway, I'm just trying to work my way up with whatever I can. Again, you saw with this one that I need those purple pink cubes. So I'm at 19 of 30. Once I buy all those weekly ones from the metal shop, getting the steel, the high grade steel, is super easy. Once I buy the rest of the these cubes from the co-op metal shop, we're set. We can upgrade that, break it to level 70, and then go from there. So it's going to be a little bit hard as you get those higher tier weapons to upgrade multiple, especially if they use the same parts. But again, take advantage of that co-op shop. It's huge. And yeah, that's kind of it for weapons. Again, your last materia slot's going to come at level 70. Your second materia slot is going, or your second R ability slot is going to come at 60. And then I believe 30 is when you get a boost to the power of your first R ability. And then S ability, that's level 50, another one at 70. So both the last S support materia things are going to unlock at 70, and then it's 50 there. So again, keep those in mind. Now the support materia is really only important for your main hand weapon. You're not going to get those from your ability weapon. You're not going to get those from your sub weapon. So really, with my Murasame, those are the things I'm going to get. Let's say my hard edge is my secondary. That attack boost one in both those slots, and that physical attack boost at the bottom are basically useless. They're not going to see any sort of use, but they're still there. Yeah, I think that's kind of it in terms of that stuff. That was a lot of extra just fluff at the end in terms of upgrading weapons and stuff. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Hopefully that gave you an idea into how I build my characters, how you might better build your characters. And yeah, I think that was a good video to do. I think that's going to be an important one. Again, I do have some other videos in mind that I want to do, but they're a little more casual stuff to do when you don't have stamina, that kind of thing. But yeah. Oh, I guess we can talk about that real quick. If you don't have stamina, it kind of relates to the same thing here. If you go into enhancement and go into training, there is a free character XP one that you don't need stamina. So if you're super bored and you just want to play and you want to be progressing, you can come into the character XP thing. It costs no stamina and you can just run these. Doesn't give you a ton of XP. It's 1,290. Remember the other one was like 9,000 or something. But it's something you can do if you're out of stamina and you still want to feel like you're progressing at least a little bit. You can do it while you're doing something else on the computer or whatever. It's just something to run in the background and you'll be at least progressing your characters a little bit. Because again, getting them to certain breakpoints, especially for the skill tree, is pretty important. So trying to get them leveled up. I don't know if there's any caps past this. There might be. There might be like a level 51 or something, but for now, 40 is what I need to aim for with all my characters to get to this next part of the tree, and we'll kind of go from there. But yeah, hopefully the video helped. Again, let me know down in the comments if it helped you, if there's any other types of videos you want to know, any information you want to know, any topics you want me to cover. I didn't really go into materia stuff. I think that could be its own individual topic. Just because it's a little more intricate, but materia will end up being important. So that's something to keep in mind too. I bought all the slots. I figure I'm going to be synthesizing. This is a very typical gacha thing where you're basically gambling, trying to find the right stats, and you're throwing everything else away. But again, I think that's a little bit more of a nuanced video. That's kind of its own thing that didn't really fit too much in this. Otherwise, we'd make this video way too long. But yeah, let me know if it helped. Let me know what other stuff you guys want to hear about. And we got an event coming up in very shortly, actually. An hour from when I'm recording this. We got an hour. I might do a little bit of a video on that. The watermelon tonberry or something. But yeah, I'm going to go get ready for that. I'm going to enjoy that, hopefully. And yeah, we'll see where that goes. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully it helped. Have yourselves a good one.